York, Hammond, and Rudolph, locally owned Bojangles. Jet Pools and Dusty Bend, Atlantic Pools and Water Features, and by Cripple Creek Corporation.
They'll run the ball again. And again, a great run at the 10 to 5. Feaster fighting for the end zone. Touchdown, Carolina. Touchdown, Damian Feaster. Took a lead downfield. Had a lot of room. Evans a tackle. And it's still running. Morris in a foot race. Will they catch him?
And now, here's Nick Martin and Randy Campbite with the South Carolina High School and College Football Report Show.
Yes, another edition of the South Carolina High School and College Football Report Show. I am Nathan Martin. Randy Campbite's along with you. What a great night for high school football last night. Holy moly, we got some games to talk about, some nail-biting games, some games that went down to the last play, some games who never really came down to the last play. There were some blowouts too, some big wins last night as we're 2 weeks into the season for most teams. Some of the regions are starting to take shape. And I tell you what, there's a Kershaw County team, Randy Cambites, that is sitting great in their region play. We'll talk about those North Central Knights and the big win they had last night. It felt like football weather last night, right? A little cool, crisp air last night. Randy and I were out at Manning. Just felt like football we had a ton to talk about, so we're going to dive right into it. We're going to go by regions. We'll start with 5A, work our way down, and we'll give you the score. Some of these we'll hit on, not all of them. The ones that are tight, we'll probably spend a few seconds on, and as we get closer into the listening area, we'll spend more time on those teams, obviously. So let's start with Region 1, 5A. You had Pickens taking on Hillcrest. Hillcrest got the win 28-13. Woodmont knocked off J.L. Mann 33-7. And T.L. Hanna squeaked past Malden 14-13. That's a trend, folks. There were a lot of 1-2 point games last night in high school football. Go to Region 2, 5A. Not so close. Burns 67, Riverside 26. Gaffney outlast Dorman 30-29. I'm going to tell you how that game ended here in just a second. Spartanburg knocked off Wade Hampton 56-26. So let's go back to that Gaffney-Dorman game. Randy, Dorman has got the football driving down the field. They're out of timeouts. They complete a pass for a first down. No timeouts. Just got in field goal range. So they run their field goal unit out there. And as you know, that takes some time. It's not like you just run an offensive formation out there, snap the ball real quick and throw it. You got to get the holder, the tee, all that's got to be in place before you snap the football. So Dorman rushed their kicker out there trying to get a last-second field goal off. They got it off, but I'm sure in the hurried-up process of getting out there, the kicker didn't have time to kind of get himself situated. He ended up booting the game-winning field goal and missed it. But 30-29, that is a nail-biter. And, oh, by the way, don't forget, this Dorman team went toe-to-toe with Dutch Fork in the state championship game. So all these people that are talking about Gaffney in the preseason might be right. We'll have to wait and see as the season plays out. But so far, Gaffney's lived up to the hype.
Yeah, I mean, that's still I don't think they're Dutch Fork yet. They have lived up to the hype. They'll probably be ranked Gaffney was number 1, Dorman was 3 coming into this game. Or was that vice versa?
Gaffney was 2, Dorman was 3, Dutch Fork was number 1, depending on which poll you looked at.
Dutch Fork took 1. Gaffney has a solid chance to maybe jump to number 1 in the next rankings. That's a big game. For Dorman, it's kind of tough, especially in a close game like that. I do believe that's non-conference. I think both those teams had
that's in region.
That's in region. Okay.
That's Region 2, 5A.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Then both those teams should still make the playoffs out of that region, but obviously you're gonna have to play each other at some point to determine who's number 1. Gaffney winning it on a kick, like you said, tough. You have to run out there, get the tee down. One thing I don't like about kicking off a tee in high school football. It takes a little bit extra time. That's why I like kickers who can go out there and just forget the tee. Bennett Caldwell at Camden for a couple of years, he did not need a tee. I know he kicked off of them at some point for certain situations, but he could absolutely 100% kick without a tee. That definitely helped out a lot in tight situations. So I do believe Gaffney and Dorman learned from that. Hopefully, more kickers will start. We'll look at that game and start kicking without a tee. It's just one less thing to worry about in situations like that. And obviously, the Dorman kicker needed a couple less things to worry about.
That region, Randy, a very good football team is going to be sitting at home on playoff time. Because you have Gaffney, Dorman, and Burns all in the same region. Somebody's going to be a very good football team sitting at home. Because remember, folks, the top 2 in each region make the playoffs. That's it. Normally you have 4. Cut it in half. 2.
Yeah. And if you look at the state top 10 rankings for before this game, Gaffney 1, Dorman 4, Burns 10. That's statewide. For those wondering, Burns just jumped into the top 10 this past week, jumping over Camden.
Burns has got Reggie Shaw, used to be at AC Floor. He's obviously got him rolling, put 67 points on the board. So we'll keep an eye on that region. That's going to be a fight down to the end.
3 top 10 teams in the state. I'd say that's the best region in the state of South Carolina.
Probably so. All right, Region 3-5A. You got Boiling Springs 45, Nation 4-28, Fort Mill falls to Clover 21-14. In Region 4-5A, that's some good games in this region. Northwestern 19, Blythewood 7.
Wow.
So Northwestern has knocked off Ridgeview in week 1, Blythewood in week 2. Northwestern had kind of fallen off the map, Randy. Remember, Mason Rudolph graduated, and they kind of took a dive. Maybe Northwestern's back on the way up. We'll see.
That whole area up there is back on the way up. It seems
man.
like between them. They're up there in Rock Hill and all that, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. They're in there. It's Northwestern, Rock Hill, South Point, York.
The South Charlotte area teams. They're back
Indian
on
Land.
All of them are back on the way up. So that's kind of weird to see it. The power is shifting from, way up north in the state and way down south in the state to back towards the South Charlotte area.
Speaking of Rock Hill, they lost last week. Spring Valley came back right there to buzzer and beat Rock Hill. Well, Rock Hill's now 0-2. They fall to Sumter 21-7. And how about the Ridgeview Blazers at Perry Parks and Coach Robin Bacon at Spring Valley? This game went down to the absolute wire. Spring Valley came up a point short. Ridgeview got the win, 17-16. And at one point, Randy, Spring Valley turned the football over. The very next play, Ridgeview threw a pick. So you had 2 turnovers on back-to-back plays. Fantastic ball game between the Blazers and the Vikings. All right, we're going to Region 5A. Here's those pesky Dutch Fork Silver Foxes. They put up 51 on Chapin, 51-12. South Aiken gets the win over White Knoll, 31-6. Region 6-5A, Carolina Forest 42, Conway nothing. Socrates 20, St. James 14. Region 7-5A, Wando got a good win last weekend, not so much this weekend. Berkeley gets the win 35-14. Cane Bay takes down Stratford 32-10. Fort Dorchester, no, they're still Fort D, 56-15 winners over Goose Creek. Region 8-5A, West Ashley 41, Ashley Ridge 14, and what I call the high water mark for last Friday night, Randy, the team that scored the most points, Somerville Green Wave 72, Stall High School 12. Not close.
Yeah, no.
Unfortunately for Stall. Let's go to Region 1-4A. You've got Walhalla 25, Easily 14, Hillcrest 28, Pickens 13. We told you that earlier in Pickens region. Travelers Rest falls to Westside 13-12. In Region 2-4A, Greenwood 42, Eastside 7, Greenville 37, Lawrence 14. Region 3-4A, Catawba Ridge, Copperheads 15, York nothing. Indian Land 30, Mid Carolina nothing. South Point 44, Lancaster nothing. Region 4, Region 4-4A. Back on Thursday night, AC Florida took down Richland Northeast 49-8. Irmo got a shutout win over Dreer last night, 14-0. Westwood down Lugoff Elgin, unfortunately for Matt Campbell. I thought they had a good chance of going to 2-0 in the region play, but Westwood gets the win, 34-17. And Randy, I think that's a game where Westwood lost to Lugoff Elgin last year. I'm sure they had that game kind of circled on the calendar. Hey, we probably should have lost that game. And for Lugoff Elgin, man, if they could have won that game, even 2-0 region play, it's not all gloom and doom, obviously. You're still 1-1, still got a lot to play for. But I really feel like Lugoff had a good chance, especially as well as their defense played against Dreer. And I know Dreer they're Dreer. They're not Westwood. They're not, AC Flora. Not bad. But Lugoff's defense was flying around, and I really felt like they had a chance in this ball game, but Westwood gets the win 34-17.
Yeah, and it's a little unfortunate. Like I said, it's still not over for Lugoff. They still have AC Florida to play. An advantage for them is that Westwood is 1-1 also. Obviously, they have the tiebreaker over you now. In a regular season with 4 teams making the playoffs, you'd feel really good about Lugoff. But this year, knowing they're going to have to play AC Flora and not only beat AC Flora, but beat them by a sizable amount because you've lost now 34-17. That's going to put you in a 3-way tie for 2 spots. You're going to need some point differential, so that's something to look forward to.
I got away, Randy. Here's a little positive information for you Demon fans out there. Westwood still has to play Irmo. They haven't played Irmo yet. So if Irmo beats Westwood, that gives Westwood 2 region losses.
That's right.
Now, Lugoff still has to play Irmo, but here's the thing. Lugoff put up 35 points on Dreer. Irmo only put up 14. I know you can't look at, we played this team and y'all played this team, and I know coaches can be like, I can't stand when people do that, but that's what us sports broadcasters do, right? So if Lugoff Elgin can knock off Irmo, man, you're sitting right there and thinking sitting at number 2, maybe heading to the playoffs. So we'll see what Matt Campbell and the Demons do next week. Let's go to Region 5-4A. North Augusta 41, Airport 6. Region 6-4A, Wilson 48, Darlington nothing. Kind of a shocker in a sense, not too big a one, but West Florence does go into Kellytown Stadium and knock off the Hartsville Red Foxes 33-28. Myrtle Beach, they're the team to watch in 4A, obviously. Another good team again this year, even with Luke Doty graduating. They take down Georgetown 41-7. North Myrtle Beach 35. South Florence 7. Region 7-4A. Buford 48. James Island 6. May River. Tell you what, May River's got a really good football team. Rodney Summers, former Lugoff Elgin Demon, is doing a fantastic job down at May River. They beat Bluffton by 50, 56-6. I believe they're May River Sharks. I believe was their mascot. They came here, Jamboree, wasn't it? A couple years ago.
Jamboree last year, I believe.
Last year. So big win for May River and Coach Rodney Summers.
I think they actually beat Camden 21-0 in Jamboree.
Yeah, their offensive line was pretty big. Yeah. And they were 3A a year ago. Now they're 4A, and obviously hadn't slowed them down none, winning by 50.
Absolutely not.
Any scores in that 4A that really kind of surprised you?
Lugoff. I kind of expected Lugoff to beat Westwood. It's a little unfortunate, obviously, like I said. If you apply the transitive property of football, then yes, Irmo and Lugoff should be a really good matchup. If Lugoff can beat Irmo, you get a little help from them down the road when they play Westwood, whichever order those games shake out. It's definitely not over for Lugoff, and I don't think a 3rd place finish or even a 4th place finish in the region would be considered bad for Lugoff, just because you have to look at it and say, well, in a regular year, we would have had a chance to play in the playoffs.
Yeah, 2020. Go figure. Just a weird year. I really think Lugoff has got a very good chance of beating Irmo. And I think Irmo has a good chance of beating Westwood. So if you're a Demon fan out there, listen, I love this defense. Is it not Ethan? Is it Ethan Hicks?
Yeah.
Is a tackling machine for the Lugoff Elgin defense. I think special teams is going to be an area where Lugoff can beat some people with the return, the punt return, and kickoff return. And of course, anytime you got Tyler Dixon and Scotty Dean in the backfield, they give you a chance to win football games. I like Lugoff in this situation. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I really do. Matt Campbell does a fantastic job over at LE. Let's jump into 3A scores. Region 1 3A. This is a brutal region. I did not, Randy, see if you can effort me a BHP score. They may have not have played last night because I have not seen one.
Yeah, I think that was one of the games that got canceled.
Okay.
Yes, they suspended activity for 2 weeks due to COVID-19 cases.
Okay.
So they will be back. They'll start practicing on October 14th. That means they will not play. They won't play at Friday, October 2nd or Friday, October 9th. They'll come back on the 16th.
Who were they supposed to play last night?
Let's see. I think it's Greer was last night.
Okay.
And I'm not sure who they're supposed to play next week.
All right. In that region, Daniel knocked off the Fighting Chris Johnson, the Pendleton Bulldogs, 55-7. Wren put up 63 on Seneca. Poor Seneca. They had 76 hung on them by Daniel, and now 63 hung on them by Wren, as Wren gets the win 63-26.
That's who BHP's next game, or Seneca, I'm sorry. Seneca's BHP's next game that has been pushed back now.
Actually, that might be good for Seneca. Kind of gives them a bye week to kind of work on some things. Obviously, defensively, they need to work on a little bit to give them a bunch of points the first 2 weeks of the season. So,
yeah, I do have a score in here that says BHP lost to Greer last night, but most news reports are saying that game didn't happen.
Okay. Let's go to Region 2 3A. Powdersville knocked off Berea 57-0. Got a shutout win there by Powdersville. Palmetto, home of Squeaky, Derek Watson. They got the win over Blue Ridge 44-20, and Southside beat Carolina 59-6. Region 3-3A, Clinton falls to Broome in a nail-biter 27-26. Chapman knocked off Emerald 49-14, and Woodruff beats Union County 28-26. So 2 nail-biters in that region. Union County, don't forget, folks, played Camden in the 3rd round of the playoffs last year. The winner of that game was going to go play Chapman for the Upper State Championship game. So Union County falling to Woodruff there. Kind of surprising there by 2, 28-26. Region 4 3A, Chester 34, Keenan 8. I understand there was a Chester guy that got hurt pretty bad last night. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers are with him. They had to take him off the field with the backboard. Really hope that kid's okay. Don't want to see any injuries like that. But Chester does get the win, 34-8. Fairfield Central gets a win over LR. Laurel Richland, 28-18. Scotty Dean and head coach Demetrius Davis, 2 wins for Fairfield on the year in as many games. We talked about the Griffins will be a little bit better this year. They were really young a year ago. Watch out for Fairfield. That's a region that I think Fairfield obviously can potentially win. I mean, Laurel Richland has had a really good success in 4A. The last couple of years has now dropped down to 3A. And the Griffins got the win. I like Fairfield. We saw them a year ago. They're the only team that knocked off Camden in the regular season. They got a really good athletic quarterback. Watch out for the Griffins. I like this. I like this Fairfield Central team. And Scotty Dean does a fantastic job defensively for Fairfield.
Yeah, definitely. I could see them and Chester being 1-2 in that region this year for sure. Very familiar region. The Camden fan just left that region. So we played a handful of those teams. Throughout the end of my career, and then the start of these guys that are playing in Camden now, that's who they were playing for the start of their careers. So it's interesting to see. a little surprising to see Fairfield being this good this quick. It's almost like they're a little bit ahead of schedule. We knew they were going to be good soon, but for them to be beating teams like this already, it's really exciting. Fairfield Central. We were talking about how good South Charlotte has gotten over the past year, but our listening area is really stepping up also with Fairfield Central, Camden, North Central, and Lugoff also taking a step forward as a program.
Randy, you're too young to know about this, but when I was in high school, Buddy Pugh, who is at South Carolina State, was at Fairfield Central, and they were nationally ranked. They were beating the fool out of everybody. Those teams were fun to watch. A lot of history over in Fairfield, and Coach Demetrius Davis doing a fantastic job. 2-0 on the year for the Griffins. All right, Region 5 3A. Couple of teams that if you're a Camden Bulldog fan or a Fairfield Central fan, you might want to keep an eye on for playoff implications down the road. Brooklyn Casey came in from 4A down to 3A. A lot of hype around BC and their running back. Strong Thurman gets the win 42-28. Strong Thurman, very good football team. Every year they seem to maybe not have the best team, but they're always scrappy, always make the playoffs, always win a game or two in the playoffs. Strong Thurman getting the win there. Gilbert 43, Fox Creek nothing. And Orangeburg Wilkerson got the win over Swansea 36-13. Gilbert, they go to Brooklyn Casey Friday night.
I believe that's right.
So that's going to be a big matchup in region.
Yeah, I kind of expect Gilbert to win that one.
I do too. Gilbert throws the ball all over the place.
Yeah.
BC's got a good ground game. Now, if they can get the ground game going and kind of neutralize Gilbert's offense, chance BC gets a win. Obviously, Strong Thurman keyed on the run last night. And then Brooklyn Casey's defense had a tough time stopping Strong Thurman. So that'd be a game to watch. All right, Region 6 3A. This is the Camden region. Lake City got the win over Lakewood 36-25. Crestwood shuts out Marlboro County 28-0. And Camden gets the win, a shutout win over Manning 57-0. A couple of stats in this ball game. Willis Lane over 160 yards rushing. I think he had 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing and 1 receiving. Randy, as good as the offense was in this game, they came to punt it on their opening drive and then scored every time after that. I think the most impressive stat as the Bulldogs defense held Manning the whole game to a total of 35 yards of offense.
Yeah, it's extremely impressive. We said it all night if you listen to the game that a lot of Manning's offense was hitting the edge, using their speed, and that's definitely going to work at some point. It's just not going to work against Camden. They're so good at setting the edge. The linebackers, we've said it before. We'll probably say it again. The linebackers all run 4.5s. You're not going to get outside of them. The corners are extremely good at tackling. If you do get outside of them, both safeties, James Krim, Joseph Burns, Story, and Ferguson played a good bit at safety last night. Also, they all fly downhill. You're not going to beat a Bulldog football team running side to side. I'm not sure what Manning was thinking, trying. Their quarterback threw the ball pretty well when he got the chance. That's pretty much their offense. They didn't run the ball for any substantial amount of yardage ever the whole game. But their quarterback had a couple of big throws. That's probably, if I had to guess, he was responsible for – they had 35 yards. He's probably responsible throwing-wise for 30 of them. Should have had more, had a couple drops. But the Camden Bulldog defense is ridiculous. I don't know how anybody is going to get any yardage against Camden's defense all year.
I think the impressive thing they did, obviously you lose John Copley off the defensive end, but the 2 ends in Jackson Hembry and my mind just went blank. Jonathan Chavis.
Yep, there you go.
Those 2 ends did a fantastic job of setting the edge, keeping containment, or on those plays that bounced outside, running down the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, just forcing them down line.
Forcing them back into the middle where those linebackers are filling in behind them. So a good job by the Bulldog defense, but a big win for Camden, 57-0 over Maine. That's Camden's first game. They didn't play last week. So Camden back in action on Friday. It'll be their home opener.
Also homecoming.
Lake City comes to town. So be sure, if you're a Camden fan, if you want to go to that ball game, go ahead and get your tickets online at wearecamdenhs.com. 50% capacity, so you might want to get your tickets now.
If you want to get tickets to every game, they do have season tickets. I think you just get 3 games for the season ticket. I didn't check the price on those, but I'm assuming
Right.
it's probably $20. I think a single game is 6 to 7.
Right.
So yeah, it's probably not gonna be too much. I didn't check the ticket prices, but yeah, Camden defensive line. It's gonna take a big talented offensive line to even move those guys. You said Jackson Hembry had a great game, kind of stepping up into the role where John Copley was last year. I feel like he's been there forever. Jackson
Yeah.
Hembry. I thought he was a senior last year.
Seems like he's
So
been
when
there.
I saw him on the field last night, I was a little confused. But I mean, when you say that, that's because the dude's been doing a good job for a long time.
Right.
Now he has. So he'll be a crucial part of the Bulldog defensive line this year.
Let's go to Region 7 3A. A couple of teams in the lower state. If you're a lower state fan in 3A that you would keep an eye on. Remember last year, Ainer beat Dillon and
Yeah.
really kind of put themselves on the map a year ago?
They won that region.
They did. Well, Dillon remembered it and said, not going to happen this year. Good ball game, though. Dillon gets the win 40-34 over Ainer. Loris knocks off Waccamaw 12-7. Region 8 3A. Bishop England 41, Academic Magnet 14, Hanahan 36, Battery Creek nothing. Oceanside Collegiate, another team to keep your eye on in 3A, shuts out North Charleston 62-0. All right, let's go to 2A. Region 1 2A. And Randy, what's the one team in 2A you always have to watch out for in the playoffs?
That is Abbeville.
Yes, Abbeville gets the shutout win over Liberty 56-0. Christchurch knocks off West Oak 42-0. Region 2 2A. Blacksburg falls to Landrum 29-27. Chesney gets the win over St. Joseph 45-19. In Region 3 2A, probably the biggest win in 2A last night, the North Central Knights stunned Andrew Jackson 24-10. Big win for the Knights. Randy, the Knights are 2-0. They beat Chesterfield. They beat AJ. In their region, Chesterfield won, Beaufort won in a shootout last night, Randy, 56-55. Holy moly, there was no defense in that ball game. So you look, if you're North Central, you just beat AJ, who played Abbeville in the playoffs. I believe AJ may have won that region a year ago.
They did.
So Beaufort put up 56 points against Chesterfield. They gave up 55. You beat Chesterfield 35-7. Man, the Knights are sitting pretty right now, Randy. I'm telling you, Tyrone Draper and that group is doing a fantastic job.
The only other team in that region that's currently unbeaten is Sherall. I'm not sure who they played last night.
Sherall's supposed to play Central of Pageland.
Yeah, and it looks like that game has been moved to October 30th.
COVID reasons.
So those are the only. I mean, Central Pageland 0-1, Chesterfield now 0-2 in region. You're pretty clear of them. AJ, you have a head-to-head tiebreaker. You're pretty much 2 games ahead of them also, and you only have 3 region games left. If you just win one of those, you're really sitting pretty to make the playoffs. And if that one win is over Sherall, you're sitting pretty to win the region. At this point, you got to think that North Central, if they're not the front runner for the region, they're at least one of the top contenders to make the playoffs out of that region. I'd be very surprised at this point if North Central didn't make the playoffs. And I do kind of have a feeling that they may run on and win that region.
North Central, talking with Tyrone Draper, he said, not that he was concerned. He just said, we're a little young this year, and really felt like that maybe they were a year away. Well, Tyrone, you got some studs, obviously, getting 2 big wins to start the season. He knows that. I don't have to tell him that. The North Central Beaufort game is going to be very big, and of course Sherall as well. But 56-55.
Yeah. Do we know who North Central has next week?
I do not.
Let's see if we can get that real quick.
Pull that up on me.
I mean, that's an extremely big deal around here in this area. North Central, I don't know the last time they won a region. I know they made the playoffs recently, but winning a region outright, has to have been a while.
Right.
Let's see, who do we have next week for AJ? Beaufort.
Ooh.
So there it is. It looks like you have Beaufort, and followed by Sherrall, and then Central Pageland. Lee Central and Great Falls will be their 2 non-conference games at the end of the schedule. But yeah, as long as Max Preps is right, you have Buford on Friday, October 9th away.
What about North Central?
That's North Central.
Oh, I thought you said it was AJ.
I'm sorry. They played. This is North Central. North Central plays Buford, and then followed by Sherrall the next week, and then Central Pageland the week after that. Those are the 3 games.
Think about this, North Central fans. You win the next 2 weeks,
you're guaranteed in if you win the next 2 weeks.
Guaranteed in, and almost basically guaranteed the region.
If you win next week, I mean, you have the tiebreaker over Buford. You have the tiebreaker over AJ, and they still have to play each other. I'd have to sit down and do the math, but if you win next week, I'm pretty sure you're guaranteed in also.
Oh, man, great job by North Central. The Knights.
Yeah.
Way to christen your home stadium with a huge win over a rival against AJ. Got the new stadium, the new Jumbotron, new press box. Great way to keep that off with a huge win.
Absolutely. Probably one of the nicest stadiums in 2A at this point. I don't know too many 2A teams with a Jumbotron.
Right.
So, that's very exciting for North Central. And I'm extremely excited now, knowing the situation, knowing who they're playing next week. Obviously, we'll be at Zim Stadium for the Camden game.
Right.
But definitely we'll have an eye on that North Central game all night. We'll be giving score updates from there. It's going to be extremely exciting to see as they travel to Buford. By this time, next Friday, next Saturday, we'll obviously know who wins, and we'll also have what North Central needs to do to clinch a playoff spot at that point, or if, depending on the score, if they have, or maybe even set themselves apart to win the region.
Caleb Haven, I called him Hunter on the coaches show. I had to correct myself. But Caleb Haven obviously had a big game. I would imagine with North Central. Johnny Deals at number 24 is a stud. I'm thinking that's a Shropshire.
That is the wide
receiver.
receiver.
Is a great wide receiver for North Central. He really kind of busted on in the Camden game last year where you just knew, like he made a couple of catches. You go, wow, this kid can ball. If those guys get hooked up for the offense of North Central against Buford, Knights will be sitting pretty next week. We'll definitely keep you up to date with that game throughout the Camden game. Thank you, Mitch Louder. Mitch always listens to the show. Appreciate it, Coach. The last North Central team that won the region outright, 1992. So the Knights are due. I like the way they're sitting. You go beat Buford, like we said. You're sitting at the top, and you got Sherrall coming up, but even if you lose to Sherrall and those other 3 teams beat up on each other, North Central could win the region outright this year. That would be huge for Tyrone Trayford and the Knights.
Yeah, that's pretty much the story of the area right now. It's North Central,
right?
Because Sherrall is undefeated and then Buford's 1-1. If you beat them, you set them down,
right?
And then you'll have AJ, the tiebreaker over AJ. So you wouldn't clinch, but you could clinch next week with some help. But you'd definitely be in a position to set yourself apart. We'll see who AJ is playing next week too while we're sitting here.
Coach Louder can tell you too. It seems like that Sherrall always has a stud running back every year. They like to run the football. I'm sure they're still running that spread offense, but
that's also who AJ plays next week is Sherrall. So you can get some help from your rivals in AJ, and they can put you top of the division.
Yeah, if you're a Knights fan, you need to be a volunteer fan next week.
Absolutely.
Hoping AJ knocks off Sherrall. But again, kudos to North Central. Big win over Andrew Jackson, 24-10. North Central 2-0 on the season. Let's go to Region 4 2A. Batesburg-Leesville beats Eau Claire, shuts them out 52-0. Also, another shutout in that region. Gray Collegiate shuts out Columbia 56-0. Region 5 2A, you had Barnwell 56. Barnwell, I believe, is who Saluda beat in the state championship game a year ago.
I think so.
They beat Denmark Olar 56-14. Wade Hampton of Hampton 34, Edisto 7. Region 6 2A, Timberland 30, Burke nothing. Philip Simmons 43, Lake Marion 8. Region 7 2A, Andrews 28, Mullins nothing. King Street 18, Marion 14. And we'll roll through these 1A scores here pretty quickly. In Region 1 1A, McCormick 56, Calhoun Falls 6, Southside Christian 42, Dixie nothing. Region 2 1A, Great Falls falls to C.A. Johnson 62-22. Lamar 32, McBee 3. The Fighting Rick Henry's on the wrong side of that one. Region 3 1A, Blackville Hilda 42, Wagner Sally nothing. HKT Hunter Cotter Tyler 28, Calhoun County 10. Williston Elko 32, Ridge Spring Minetta 6. Region 4 1A, Carvers Bay 48, Scotts Branch nothing. Lakeview 42, East Clarendon 14. Region 5 1A, Green Sea Floyds 28, Hannah Pamplico 12, Johnsonville 42, Timminsville 6. Region 7 1A, Baptist Hill 28, Cross 20, St. John's 57, Charleston Math and Science nothing. Whale Branch 52, and Military Magnet nothing. I'll hit the couple of Skeezer scores that are just in our listening area. Wilson Hall falls to Augusta Christian 42-7. Ben Lippin, I know it's kind of on the edge of our listening area. They got a big win over Cardinal Newman 50-7. Hammond 19, Trinity Burns nothing. Lawrence Manning 35, Florence Christian nothing. See if we have a Thomas Sumter score here. Robert E. Lee 29, Dylan Christian 15. Richard Wynn over in Winsboro 54, Lawrence Academy 32. Andrew Jackson Academy 88. Clarendon Hall 54. Good night of mercy.
Man, a lot of an AC floor Camden game a couple years ago.
Right? No, I do not have a Thomas Sumter score. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure if they played last night, but 88-54. Good gracious.
That's not too far off what that score actually was over in Huntington.
Did the defense even take the field in that ball game? That's crazy.
Yeah. Biggest thing about those 1A scores, the only question I have is how do some of those schools get their name?
Who knows, Randy? Who knows? And I know a lot of the mascots in 5A, 4A, 3A, 2A, 1A, not so much because you don't see them.
Not at all.
Timminsville
is probably the closest. Timminsville, or I think you said Mackey's 1A.
McBee.
Those are about the closest teams to us.
No, I think McBee's 2A.
Are they? But yeah, some of those 1A schools you listen to, and it's like, where is that, and how did they manage, or how did they get to that point when they were naming their school? We want to name it this.
I'll tell you about McBee is 1A. So
Yeah.
that's the closest in Great Falls.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting to see this. The Raptors, I think it's Military Magnet. That's the Raptors. It's kind of a cool mascot.
Very much. You don't see that. I mean, obviously, you have the Toronto Raptors, but outside of that,
Right.
it's less basic than, the Tigers or the Bulldogs.
Right. There's tons of those, obviously.
Yeah.
So kind of cool to see a different nickname, if you will. Let's take a timeout, and when we come back, Randy and I are going to make a case for Clemson winning against Virginia and Clemson losing to Virginia. We'll also do the same for South Carolina. Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot here,
I don't
Randy.
know how to tell you Clemson's going to lose.
There's a way.
I'll think about it over the break. I'll find some way.
Listen, I don't think it's going to, but it's football. We've seen crazier things happen. Kansas State knocking off Oklahoma 2 years in a row. Crazy things have happened. We'll break down those games and then look ahead to next week's matchups in high school football. We'll dive a little deeper into those matchups, tell you who Lugolf's got. We'll talk Camden, Lake City, North Central, and New Beaufort, and give you some of the big games around the Midlands as well. When the South Carolina High School and College Football Report Show returns here on Cool 102.7.
There you go.
Dude, North.
I think North Central's going to end up winning their region.
I kind of want to do a North Central game now.
I know. I want to do if they beat. I had it when I was reading that to you. I had it in my mind that Buford was the one that was 1-0. There's Beaufort. There's Beaufort and Beaufort.
Right.
I call him Buford.
Buford.
And it makes it easier because you know how to talk.
Your brother's probably like, man, y'all could have been like this when I played.
That's exactly what he said. He was like, where was this last year?
Right.
I told him
Austin Bowers' younger brother is a quarterback.
Yeah, as far as I know, because I asked Coach Drakeford, and I did that interview, and I was like, "Who's your quarterback going to be?" He's like, "I don't know." And I was like, I think you do. You just don't want to tell me. I know who your quarterback's going to be. He played a little bit last year. He was very good. Very good, very athletic. A lot like Indiana Land's quarterback. Started at safety, too. So I'm not surprised, I guess. I think North Central, the coaches are probably surprised a little bit.
Right.
Maybe not at this point now, but if we go back 3 months and you ask them, hey, you think it'll be 2-0 after the first 2 weeks? They'll say yes because that's kind of they have to, but I don't know if they would meant to.
Right.
I wouldn't. I don't think I would say yes. They're very good. I'm surprised, but happily surprised. I would love to see North Central win their region. That'd be awesome. That'd be a lot of fun.
Grab that.
Cool. 2.7 Carolina Country Classics. He is. Yeah.
Hello. Hey.
Hi, this is Chris Smith.
And this is Shannon, and we are
Re-
delivered to your home, business, or job site.
Call 438-2195 Red Rock Dispatcher, the best in local
Quality landscape materials.
We are now with sand clay, topsoil, rock, basic sand. We now offer slag and mulch, and we deliver all to Kershaw County and the Midlands of South Carolina. Your delivery of 5, 10, or 20 ton loads.
For North Central. Yeah, Caleb's he's a heck of an athlete. He's a heck of a wrestler too. He won the state championship last year. Yeah, him and his brother, they both started at AJ, I believe.
Yeah.
And then transferred over. That's I hate you guys came on the wrong end of the stick, but man, since North Central ain't won a region in since '92, that's kind of it's good for those guys to have a chance. Wow. Well, Mike, I appreciate you calling in, man. We're gonna look at AJ score next week because obviously that's a big implication now. If AJ wins, they could help out North Central a little bit. Appreciate it, man. All right, Mike. Take it easy, man. All right. Bye-bye. He said that Haven hit a guy head to head, and they called it unsportsmanlike on AJ. They said that was kind of like the turning point. It didn't cost him the game, but momentum wise.
You know how mad I would have been if I was AJ. Oh my god. I don't know.
He said, I guarantee you. He said, I don't know for sure. He said, but I guarantee you, Caleb had 40 carries last night. He had 22 in the first half.
No doubt. He had 40 carries every game last year, too.
Right.
The dude is a workhorse.
All right, movie clip, and then
he would start at Camden.
Oh, no doubt.
No doubt. He would start at
linebacker. Him and Willis, a 1-2 punch.
He'd start at running back, and he wouldn't start at. He'd start at fullback if they wanted to have a fullback or H-back, because he can catch. He'd definitely start at middle linebacker. Dude is ridiculous. They'd probably put him at defensive tackle, though. That's what they do with those big wrestlers. SJ just stick him at defensive tackle, let him push the guys out the way.
Yes, back here the South Carolina High School and College Football Report Show. I'm Nathan Martin. My partner every week is Randy Cambites, and talked to I'm trying to think of it here. There we go. Talked with Mike Davis during the break, and he gave a lot of praise to North Central. Mike's a big AJ supporter, and he supports teams here in Kershaw County as well. But he said that game last night was not interesting, and then laughed. North Central got a huge win over AJ, and Knights fans, I know it's hard to pull for your rivals, but AJ help you out a little bit Friday night. North Central game could be sitting pretty. We'll talk about those matchups at the end of the show. We're going to dive into college football here. 2 games, obviously, in the state of South Carolina. We'll start with Clemson and Virginia. Clemson coming off of a bye week after playing the Citadel. They're at home today against Virginia. Randy, I'm putting you to the test here. I want you to make a case for Virginia springing the upset.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne don't pass their corona test before the game. Would definitely have to happen. Absolutely. Realistically, that's tough. I don't know. A lot of turnovers for Clemson. Virginia would have to play perfect. Really, we talked about it the game last night. People are kind of hyping up Virginia's quarterback. He has to absolutely live up to the hype. We've seen Trevor Lawrence make mistakes before. Never enough to lose a game against a team in the ACC. So yeah, he'd have to make a lot of mistakes. He'd have to. It'd be similar to the North Carolina game last year. The offense just doesn't get on track. Because even when the offense doesn't get on track, North Carolina, they went for 2 to try to win 22-21 last year. That's probably what the score would have to be for Virginia. I do feel like if North Carolina would have kicked the extra point last year, they would have beat Clemson in overtime just because they were playing better the whole game. So I understand the situation there. You're playing Clemson, you go for 2, you try to beat them in regulation
At home.
So I always feel like you just read the game, and I don't think North Carolina's coach did that last year, or it's Mac Brown. I don't think Mac Brown did that last year. As a South Carolina fan, I can't say anything about reading the game coaching wise.
Yeah, we don't know how to do that.
But it's gonna take a low scoring game because as much as Virginia, I don't think Virginia's defense is good. They're not gonna be able to score points on the offense, even if they play on Clemson's defense, even if they play perfect. So they're gonna need Clemson's offense to sputter, a lot of turnovers. You're gonna have to play as perfect as you can on offense because even if you play perfect, you're probably just scoring 28 points at the most against Clemson's defense. So yeah, if Virginia wins, it'll be 28-24.
Tell me who Clemson's got next week.
Couldn't tell you. I have no idea. Another ACC team.
Because it was Notre Dame.
It's coming up.
Maybe. And listen, this is a reach. I did this because I thought it'd be fun.
Yeah, talking about Clemson losing before the playoffs is always a reach.
It is, but it is a long.
Oh, it might be worse than Notre Dame.
Miami.
Number 8, Miami, and they'll be at him, so they will have that at least. But still, I think Miami is probably better than Notre Dame. Miami's still not good. Miami is.
Could be a trap game.
It could be a trap game. Like you said, it seems like it happens to Clemson every year, whether they win or like they did against North Carolina, or lose like they have done to Pittsburgh and Syracuse in the past. So it happens every year. Clemson always has 1 or 2 games that are close. No, it's normally just 1, and then they'll get to the playoffs. They'll walk through. You could probably feasibly say that the Virginia game this year could be that one game for them. I don't know if they'll lose it outright, but this game could be closer than Clemson fans think. And if you're a Clemson fan and you're trying to say that doesn't happen, I promise it does. Every single year you have a game that is a
NC State 2 years in a row.
Yeah, it's not. It was a 1-point game last year. You've lost to Pittsburgh and Syracuse before. You're clearly better than Virginia. You should beat Virginia by 35 plus. But like you said, you could definitely make the case that this could be their game this year. That is like, how did you only win by 1, or how did you only win by 7? It could be tonight. And, we sound stupid trying to say that it's going to be close.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it does happen every year. So you can't really say we're too stupid here.
Go back to NC State. They had a chance to keep the game-winning field goal, and their kicker missed. Would have knocked off Clemson in Death Valley. Listen, I fully expect Clemson to cover here.
Yeah.
Make no bones about it. We're just having a little fun. But with 2020 being so crazy already, sports or non-sports related, 2020 has been a weird year. Would it really surprise you, though, if Virginia wins? Just how the season's gone. You look at Oklahoma. They had payback circled since last year at Kansas State. You thought Oklahoma was just going to take it behind the woodshed and wear their behind out.
Absolutely not.
Didn't happen. Kansas State got the win. Iowa State playing a Sun Belt team in Louisiana.
Half the Big 12 playing Sun Belt teams.
Right. Louisiana's got some good football teams. Billy Napier at Louisiana's done a fantastic job, but it's Iowa State. You should beat Louisiana.
Definitely.
Didn't happen. We've already had some upsets this year. So,
plenty.
Listen, I think Clemson rolls in this one. They're at home. Trevor Lawrence I think he's thrown like 180 something, 190 passes without interception, maybe even more than that.
Yeah, he doesn't make mistakes anymore.
He does not. Maybe he had that the early struggles last year in the first couple of games where he's trying to force some stuff, got it fixed pretty quickly, and then they rolled on. I just think, everybody's trying to tab this Virginia quarterback, and I apologize for not remembering the kid's name. But I read an article on the Four Letter Network on their website that said this guy's the next Steve Young. What?
Yeah.
No.
I know.
You can't tab this guy the next Steve Young if he hasn't done anything.
I'll say I don't even know.
He
his
hasn't
name.
beaten anybody. That would be like, saying this kid's the next Michael Vick, but his team's 0-5.
Yeah.
He may be a good athlete. He may be a good quarterback. Michael Vick won ball games.
Yep. So,
Steve Young won ball games. Steve Young won a lot of ball games. In fact, he won a national championship, I believe, at BYU.
yeah.
So Virginia, while they may be good by their standards, you're not on Clemson standards. I think
Yeah.
Clemson rolls in this one. The Tigers, I think, what did you say? It was a 20-point favorite?
I think we
21-point
decided
favorite?
20.5 last
20 and a
time. That's
half,
what we
yeah.
had.
Clemson covers in this one.
I think so. But, like you said, there's always every single year there's always that one game for Clemson. So we'll see. It could be this one. Especially
Even if Trevor Lawrence struggles, you still got Travis Etienne to hand the football off to.
Yeah, and that defense is ridiculous. Like I said, if Virginia were to win, the formula would have to be like 28-21. That'd have to, or 28-24. It'd have to be something like that. Because it's not as much that Virginia would play good enough to win or to beat Clemson. Clemson would have to play like their D game, and Virginia would have to play their A game.
A+.
And I still don't know if Clemson's D game would lose to Virginia's A+ game. I mean, the ACC is by far, in my opinion, maybe the sixth best conference in football. Maybe I'll give them fifth because I put them above the Big 12 now. They just jumped the Big 12. It's so shallow.
It's getting better.
I don't even know.
But I say this because Matt Brown is making roads in North Carolina. He's getting recruits. I'm interested to see what Miami does. They got a quarterback, but he's only there for this year and maybe next year.
Just this year because this year I forgot about cap eligibility.
He's a redshirt
senior.
Could come back.
Some people are talking about he's the Heisman front runner now over Trevor Lawrence, and that's just. I mean, the ACC. I feel like people try to hype them up to make Clemson. No, Clemson's the only team in that. I think if Clemson came to the SEC East, they'd win it this year pretty easily. I think Florida's probably a little overrated. I know Georgia's overrated. Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how JT Daniels does as quarterback. But the ACC is just. It's so bad, and like you said, when Mac Brown, he's getting good recruits.
Right.
They went 6-6 in the ACC last year. I know another coach who gets good recruits who could have went 6-6 in the ACC last year.
And all defense ranked it was his first year back.
That's true.
It was his first year. First year back. I like Sam Howell, quarterback.
I do too.
I just think people are jumping on the Miami bandwagon a little bit too quick here. Yes, they curb stomped Florida State. Everybody does now. I don't know how Florida State fell off so fast. Let's see what Miami does against Clemson. Let's see what Miami does against Notre Dame and North Carolina. Those are the three top teams in the ACC, in my opinion. And then I got Miami at number 4 until they show me something to get somebody good.
But this year in the ACC, there are no divisions, so the top 2 teams will make the ACC championship game. So you could see Miami get more than one shot against Clemson. I'm assuming Clemson will be there regardless, even if they do lose a game to somebody. They'll still be one of the top 2. They'll most likely be undefeated number 1. I'll put Notre Dame, or I'll put Miami or North Carolina. I'm sorry, maybe 4th. I think they have a good quarterback, obviously, but I mean we saw how South Carolina was with a good quarterback and Jake Bentley, with 7-6.
Yeah,
overachieving 9-4, and then a 6-7 shutout in the Belk Bowl. So I mean. If North Carolina and South Carolina played this year, that's a push for me. It's a coin toss game. You go 6-6 in the ACC. He has a good quarterback. I just feel like they're extremely overrated just because they almost beat Clemson.
It'll be interesting to see. I think Miami has got a lot of momentum on their side right now.
And that's another team like Notre Dame that's always overhyped because what they did, when I was an infant. So maybe that's why I don't respect them as much.
Yeah, with Larry Coker as their head coach. Yes, Miami. When they joined the ACC, I thought, wow, that's a pretty good get. You know, they haven't lived up to their end of the deal. Neither has Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech. They started a backup quarterback last week and got a win. So There's a lot of question marks to be answered in the ACC, but the one constant is the Clemson Tigers.
Yeah.
I think Clemson rolls in this one. They cover the 20.5 points.
If Appalachian State joined the ACC, where would you rank them?
Fifth.
I rank them second.
I can't put them ahead of North Carolina until they play each other.
Yeah, I think they're the
No,
best
wait. I think
they're the best team.
Didn't App State beat North Carolina last year?
They're the best team in North Carolina. They beat North Carolina last year. They beat South Carolina last year. I think they beat South Carolina again this year. I know they beat North Carolina again this year. I think they beat the second best team in the ACC. It's about time for the ACC to expand or maybe
I will say
kick
this.
some people out of there.
I think you're wrong on the point that App State beats North Carolina and South Carolina this year. Remember, their head coach left after last year. He's now at Missouri.
But he didn't build.
He
Appalachian
didn't,
State.
but he was an offensive guru. He was at NC State offensive coordinator, kind of got their offense rolling. Eli Drinkowitz,
That's his name.
he was there when Debo Samuel took the opening kickoff back in that good ball game. Went to App State, had a fantastic season a year ago, and then Missouri's like, well, we need a coach. This guy's pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's hire him.
Is it Satterfield? Satterfield's the one that built them.
Yeah,
He's at Louisville.
He's at Louisville. That's the team to watch in a couple of years. I think he's eventually going to get Louisville, and they're already competitive.
I think they went 8-4 last year.
Yeah, I think they lost their quarterback.
Yeah.
Last
They
week.
they had their best players, the skill players, like 5'5". There's a tiny dude.
Yeah, Louisville's a team to watch. I think obviously if you're going to win the ACC, it goes through Clemson. Obviously,
I mean, it's not even goes through Clemson. Clemson's just going to win the ACC for the foreseeable future.
What they ought to do is to take the ACC championship trophy, just put it in Clemson until somebody wins it,
and then they can go grab it. But it's not going to happen anytime soon. I do think I would love to see some conference shuffling because I'd either want to see Clemson go to the American because then you have more ranked teams on the schedule, but that's not ever going to happen because there's no brand name there. So I'd love to see the ACC drop 2 teams, whoever you want to kick out, because none of them other than Clemson are worth keeping, other than maybe Miami. And then you add Appalachian State and UCF. Those would be the second and third best teams.
I would kick the 2 worst teams in the ACC. That would be Wake Forest and Duke.
No, you can't kick Duke for basketball reasons.
We're talking about football here, though.
Oh, but it's a whole conference thing. You can kick Wake Forest and there's another.
It's kind of like the NCAA games where you could customize the conference. I loved it.
Yeah, bring NCAA football back immediately,
please. Clemson again, a 20.5 point favorite. You can listen to that game on Cool 102.7, starting with the Tiger Tailgate Show at 5:00. Kickoff at Death Valley is set for 8 p.m. South Carolina, coming off of a devastating loss a week ago to Tennessee. They outplayed Tennessee, both sides of the football. I think they played the better game, obviously. But in football, sometimes that's not enough. South Carolina didn't make the crucial play there at the end on the punt that could have given their offense a chance. And Tennessee's defense was gassed. I don't have any doubts, Randy, that if South Carolina fields that punt cleanly, I think Carolina goes right down the field, punches in the end zone, and South Carolina sitting at 1-0 on the season simply because Tennessee's defense was gassed. Mike Bobo did a fantastic job of keeping the ball. We talked about that. South Carolina last year could not sustain drives. Well, they were able to do that last week. They had the ball, I think, at halftime for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So over half of the first half, South Carolina had the football. That was huge. We didn't have that last year.
Yeah.
Tennessee's defense was tired. South Carolina, listen, it is what it is. They didn't make the play. Not faulting Cam Smith. He was trying to block. Sometimes the ball just bounces funny, but you got to know the situation, right? They preach that in practice. You're a football player or a football player. Y'all went over that every week on a punt. If a guy's yelling fire or Peter or whatever your little call word is, get away from the guy. Get 10 yards away. So there's no chance you getting hit with the football. Cam Smith was trying to make a play. He was trying to block a guy just in case a return man caught the football, was looking for some return yards, and it backfired.
Yeah.
It is what it is. South Carolina today has got a bigger task at hand to go to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium at Steve Spurrier Field.
Yep.
To take on the Gators. And what people are saying, the best quarterback in the SEC is Kyle Trask. You can argue that. I mean, he's also put up big numbers a week ago. Obviously, that was against Ole Miss. Ole Miss is not really known for defense.
No.
But he played. He did the job. He got done what he needed to do. I look at this game. You look at the line. I think South Carolina is
I think it opened to 18.5, but when we were
I
looking
think
at it
it's
last night, it's down to
16.
16.5.
16. Look, go back to last year. South Carolina had no business being in a game against Florida a year ago. None.
The year before that too. So
Yeah, and South Carolina last year, if you think about this,
arguably should have beat Georgia.
you,
Or Florida, I'm sorry, we did beat Georgia.
they missed the false start with the offensive lineman.
On the same play.
On the same play that led to a touchdown.
On 25 yards worth of holding.
Right.
McCormick.
So
we were up by 11. That would have pushed them back to 3rd and long. We probably would have gotten the ball back.
Probably so. It didn't happen. But I say that because South Carolina played and South Carolina historically does this. They play to the level of the competition.
If not better in most games.
It frustrates us as fans to death because you'll go out and you'll play number 1 Alabama pretty good. You'll beat number 3 Georgia. Can't beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Colin Hill looked really good Saturday. There's a couple of times where he held the football a little too long.
Yeah.
He's got to get rid of the football. Mukwamu will start today.
Yeah.
That came out, so that's big. Get your corner back on the field. What worries me is Tennessee was able to run the football pretty good against that defensive line of South Carolina for the most part. South Carolina got plays when they need to. It's almost like a bend, don't break defense, which I do not like.
No.
Florida probably not going to run the ball a whole lot.
I don't think they would because, like you said, Tennessee ran the ball so well. But you could tell on certain plays that Zach Pickens and what's the other defensive lineman name? A big defensive tackle.
Yeah, Jabari Ellis.
I think he's one of the small ones. I'm not sure. That might be the other guy I'm thinking of. But you could tell we have our starting defensive tackles are smaller, and our Zach Pickens and the other one are a lot bigger. Right. You can tell when they were on the field against Tennessee's offensive line, which, by the way, is much better than Florida's. Tennessee has probably a top 3 offensive line in the country.
And it got better because now they got Cade Mays.
So, yeah, it's up there with Georgia and Alabama. You could tell when those guys were on the field, though, because they tried to run the ball up the middle and maybe 2 yards, maybe a yard. Those guys are out. You're getting 5 or 6 chunks.
I need to see Jordan Burch.
Florida's offensive line is much smaller. And like you said, Jordan Burch is more of a he was more of a matchup problem for Tennessee than I think he will be for Florida. And Zach Pickens is more of a matchup problem for Florida than he was for Tennessee. So that's going to be a big deal. I don't think Florida will be able to run the ball as well. I do think they'll have a good bit of time to sit back and pass, and that's going to be our problem. We talked about our secondary being our strong suit. Obviously, Cam Smith got burned on that long ball and then had the punt. He had a bad day. I have no doubt he'll probably get a couple more chances today to kind of redeem himself. And having Mukwamu back is going to be a big deal because they did it against Ole Miss last week. They'll probably do it against us tonight. They're going to try to sling the ball. You said you need to see Jordan Burch. I think you're exactly right. It's going to be tougher for him tonight since it's not a big power offensive line. It's an athletic one. But it's going to be very interesting to see what he can do being a 5-star. We're expecting a lot from him. We're going to need him to step up. This is going to be, I think, for him, a bigger test than it was last week against Tennessee, despite the fact that Tennessee's offensive line is better. He's going to have to get out the quarterback when he's in. I only noticed him in on one play last week, and he made a big one in the backfield.
2 tackles for loss.
Yeah.
And I'm not second-guessing T-Rob. Obviously, he's getting paid millions because he's a good defensive coordinator. I just noticed a couple of times, Randy, that he made 2 plays, 2 tackles for loss, and then he was not in the rest of the game on defense.
Yeah.
Jordan Burch has got to be on the field.
I think so, too. I know it's only 2 plays, and we're not at practice all week, so I don't know what he's doing in practice. Brad Johnson's the guy in front of him. Not a bad he was a 4-star defensive end himself.
He's a smaller line butt position. He's a little taller and skinnier than
Burch. Burch is about the same athletically. Burch is a little bit bigger, but I don't think it'll be long. I think Burch will get more snaps today. Brad Johnson didn't play bad by any means, but Burch just seems like he's going to be an impact player for us, like we wanted him to be. Not quite Clowney, but maybe the closest thing we've had to it at the defensive end, outside linebacker position since Clowney. So
the thing that bothers me though, looking back on last Saturday's game, if Garantano was more accurate, he had some guys open that he just flat out missed.
Yes.
Kyle Trask doesn't miss.
No. If Garantano was a halfway decent quarterback,
That game's not even close.
So yeah, we just said it earlier in the game, or earlier when we started talking about Carolina, that I do felt like Carolina played a better game, but it's not exactly because we were just better. Tennessee, Garantano played terrible. He played so bad. He is a bad quarterback. I don't know where this hype for him comes from. I mean, people, Carolina fans talk crap about Jake Bentley. Jake Bentley is 10 times better than Jarrett Garantano, so that's rough. I mean, Garantano was bad. There were some throws out there that a couple of high school quarterbacks we've seen could have made. Garantano, how he still has that job at Tennessee, I do not understand.
For South Carolina to win today, and that's a stretch.
Yeah.
Being on the road. In college football, it's hard to do no matter what conference you're in, especially in the SEC. They're going to have to force turnovers. You're going to have to hit Kyle Trask a couple of times. You're going to have to get in his face, bully him a little bit. And I think South Carolina's got to be able to run the football. They got a little better in the second half against Tennessee. I like Zaquandre White. I think there was a couple of runs there last week, Randy, where he was one step away from hitting that home run. Kevin Harris ran the ball pretty well. I like Deshaun Fenwick out of the backfield. Dude can catch the football, and he's pretty quick. You can't throw the ball to Shi Smith 25 times in this ball game.
Yeah.
Somebody else has got to step up at that wide receiver spot, whether it be Leggett, whether it be Josh Vann, whether it be Dakereon Joyner, Rico Powers, Jakari Caldwell. Somebody's got to step up. Because Florida's going to say, you know what? We're taking Shi Smith away from you. You're not throwing to Shi Smith.
Yeah, I believe he had 14 catches last week.
Yeah.
And 3 drops.
3 drops. One of them was a pick six.
Yeah.
You got to find somebody else. And I don't know. South Carolina has had a tight end the last 4 or 5 years they threw the football to. Muse made a couple of good plays.
Really good ones.
He had that one that went just off his fingertips. It was a little high. And, he probably, if he stretched out a little bit further, could have made the play. Yeah. But he's got to be a factor in it. There's a lot of things that got to go South Carolina's way to get the win. I think South Carolina falls 0-2, and it doesn't get any easier. You got Auburn coming in after Vanderbilt, I believe.
We'll check Carolina's schedule.
I think it's Vanderbilt, Auburn, LSU.
Yeah, people have been saying if we didn't beat Tennessee, we'd probably start 1-5. So I'm assuming Vanderbilt's in here somewhere. We get Vanderbilt next week. That'll be another noon kick. And then Auburn, LSU, which is probably an easier game than we thought it was going to be.
Well, Stigley's back. So
he'll take out Josh. He'll take out Josh Smith.
Right.
But outside of that, I don't know how good that team is, truthfully. But yeah,
it's that game's in Death Valley, though, right?
Yes, it is. We'll go to Vanderbilt. We'll be at home to Auburn, to LSU, and then A&M will come to us.
A&M's a winnable game, and I know people going to say, "What? A&M barely beat Vanderbilt."
Yeah, and I think LSU is more winnable than A&M is. So it's not as daunting of a schedule as we thought it was going to be, but Florida and Auburn, I think, are the 2 hardest games on the schedule. And we have those 2 coming up, obviously, today and then 2 weeks from now. It's going to be tough for South Carolina to win. It's definitely possible. Second half adjustments were big last week. We averaged, I think, 3.3 yards a play in the first half, which is pretty bad. 7.1 in the second half, which is very good. We didn't stretch the ball much downfield until the second half. I'd like to see more of that. I think in South Carolina, we complained about it for like the last 3 years, that our time of possession was terrible. I have not seen it for last week, but it has to have been much better than it was. I think Mike Bobo did a good job. Our offense really complemented our defense, which played really well. You said it was a bend but don't break defense, and we've had that for years now. Even when we were really good at football, we were going 11-2. Our defense was pretty bend but don't break. We weren't really stopping people, but when you have an offense that holds the ball for so long, you can afford to play defense like that. I think that's what we'll do a good bit today. Hopefully, our offense can hold on to the ball, time of possession. A big stat last week was we gave up 6.1 yards per play on defense, but we held Tennessee to 1 for 11 on third down conversions. If we can do that today, I think we'll have a decent chance. Third downs will be big. Getting Florida into the third downs, I think, will be the biggest issue for us. I don't know. No big plays over the top, but also at the same time, we don't need to be getting hit for 10 yards a pop in the passing game either. I think that's going to be our biggest problem. Not the big play, but getting hit for 10 yards a pop every time Kyle Trask drops back to throw.
Third down conversion a week ago for Tennessee, 1 for 12.
1 for 12. Okay, I was one off.
South Carolina was 6 of 15. Not bad. Time of possession. South Carolina held the ball for 34 minutes and 50 seconds of a 60-minute ball game.
Yeah, so Tennessee had it for
25.
Yeah, 25-10. So yeah, that's more along the lines of what you're looking for as a South Carolina football fan. We complained about it so much when Brian McClendon was our quarterback or our offensive coordinator because he constantly ran us into a wall. We weren't going anywhere. If you sprint into a 3-and-out, you're not doing your team any favors. So the fact that Carolina stops, gets in a huddle after every play, and then goes out and picks up, a couple of yards at the least, it's at least positive. It's at least more positive for our team. That's the reason. I called it last night. I think Carolina will lose by 17. That could very easily see us. I wouldn't bet on this game because South Carolina, the way we play football, kind of lends itself to not getting blown out. As bad as that sounds, we're not a football team, I think, that will get blown out too much just because we're so slow and methodical now on offense. And our defense is bend but don't break. So I don't think big plays are going to be a problem for us other than that one we gave up last week, like Cam Smith. I don't know how much we'll see of that today. So, as much as I say I think we will lose, I think we'll lose by a good bit. The more I think about it, we may cover the 16.5, which is not what you're looking for, obviously, but I really don't think we'll get blown out that bad against Florida today just because, like you said, I think we'll give ourselves a chance, if anything, because we keep the ball so much and we're so good on third down on defense.
Looking at some stats from a week ago to kind of parlay into today's game, Tennessee had 394 yards of total offense. South Carolina had 379. Tennessee 261 yards passing. That's got to get better today. South Carolina 290. But the rushing, Tennessee 133 yards on 33 attempts. That's 4-yard average. That's got to get better. South Carolina, again, they ran the ball 35 times for 89 yards. That's 2.5 yards a carry. That has got to change. You have got to be able to run the football. In this era of college football, you cannot be one-dimensional. Defenses are too good. That's got to be better. South Carolina had the 2 turnovers, obviously the muff punt, and then the pick 6. Those are the differences. First downs were pretty even. South Carolina had 22 first downs, Tennessee 21. You look at Florida. Get back here on my phone before we get out of here and tell you a little bit about what Florida did last week stat-wise.
They broke a lot of records on offense.
They did. And Ole Miss didn't put up much of a fight defensively. You look at the team stats here, so I want to look at.
Yeah, which is that's extremely encouraging for us. I think the South Carolina fans, our defense is better than Ole Miss's. They put up 35 points against Florida's defense. Our offense may be equal to Ole Miss's. So
third down and efficiency, Randy. Florida was 6 of 10 on third down. Cannot have that. On the other side, Ole Miss was 9 of 14.
Yeah.
Florida total yards, 642 total yards, 446 through the air. Ole Miss had 613 total yards, 443 through the air. You look at big plays from Ole Miss. Kyle Trask was 31 of 45. His yard per pass was 9.1. He did throw 1 pick. You look at Ole Miss, 24 of 33. Not bad completion rate. Not a bad completion ratio. 13.4 yards per pass. They also threw a pick. Rushing, Florida 196 yards on 29 attempts. That's a 6.8 yard per carry. That can't happen.
No.
Ole Miss 170 yards rushing on 45 attempts. A 3.8 yard per carry. Florida had the ball 33 minutes, and Ole Miss had the ball 26 minutes. So
I definitely think that'll be flipped today.
Yeah, I think there's some opportunities there to try to say. that South Carolina is going to have. The thing is, you got to maximize your opportunities,
Absolutely.
and that can be said for every team in college football.
I mean, that's how you win football games.
Right.
You're going to get breaks.
Clemson, for instance, they maximize all their opportunities. If you throw an interception, they're going to turn that interception into points, whether it be 3 or 7. They're not going to come up empty more times than not.
More often than not, it'll be 7.
So South Carolina's got to, if you want to win this ball game, and it's a long shot,
Can't turn the ball over.
can't turn the ball over. You got to force turnovers. We hear Muschamp talking about it all the time. We've got to force more turnovers.
We had
We
0.
just hadn't had it. And then offensively, Colin Hill, I thought played really well. He's going to be under probably more duress this week than he was last week.
Because Tennessee's defensive line
It's not
is
good.
it's good, but there were so many guys hurt. And that was
Right.
their issue. Florida, I don't think that'd be a problem.
Well, and Florida always has really good corners. I mean, you could
Oh, my
go,
gosh.
you could sit there and name 10 guys in the NFL
Yeah,
that
if
played
you
in
were-
Florida.
If you were to name the top 5 corners in the NFL, you probably have a couple Florida players, a South Carolina player, and then whoever else you can think of.
So he's going to have to take care of the football. I think Florida covers. I would love to see South Carolina be competitive, or and even win the game, get back to 1-1. I just don't think it happens.
Yeah.
So you can listen to the Game Day pregame show is airing right now as we talk on 98.7 FM, 1598 Carolinas Country Classics. Kickoff is about
Well,
so you're looking at
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours away.
Prepare yourself, South Carolina fans.
Yeah, it might get ugly, but in 2020, this is a hand that every team has been dealt. You're playing conference games, and unfortunately for South Carolina, you got to play 10 conference games. So
in the SEC, toughest division in football.
right,
So yeah, I mean, a lot of people look at South Carolina and be like, "Oh, it's so bad, it's terrible, the sky is falling." Please don't compare us to North Carolina because they went 6-6 last year and they're in the ACC. So
if you think
just
about
remember,
it,
we're in the SEC. It's rough.
you would have had Coastal. Probably,
We more than likely would have started 2-0 in a regular season.
yeah, you probably would have beat Coastal.
And knowing South Carolina fans would have been like, "We're going to the national championship." I love Muschamp. He's the best coach we've ever had.
You had East Carolina, who's awful.
Yeah.
Sorry, Coach Ranth, but
Yeah.
they're struggling
They
right
they
now.
hung with UCF for 3 quarters the other day,
Yeah,
which is
I mean,
a big anybody who can hang with UCF for
Right.
3 quarters.
but that gives you 2 more wins that you're not going to have this year.
And then I think our first SEC game was Missouri, so there's a really solid chance to start 3-0.
If you think about that, if you'd have played Coastal and East Carolina, it gets you 2 wins. You beat Missouri, you beat Vanderbilt. That's 4 right there.
And
You still want Kentucky. I think is a toss up right now. That's
Yeah.
5. Their defense is good. Their offense is just awful. That's 5 wins right there.
so
So
you go back and play Tennessee again.
if you would have played Tennessee when you normally would have played
There
them,
was definitely a path to 6 wins in a regular season,
right?
but I mean, there's still a path to. There's definitely a path to 4. Path to 5 would probably involve a win today.
Right.
So the more likely path I think for South Carolina is 3 wins.
And
I
I
just
know,
want people to stop, acting like the sky is falling as a South Carolina fan.
but then you got Georgia. South Carolina always plays Georgia well.
Yep. So I mean, as much as you say the sky's falling, if we're like this again next year, and we only get 3 or 4 wins next year, then we can talk about the sky falling.
Right.
Because I mean, Muschamp recruits well, and I'm not saying that he's perfect. His game managing is frustrating. But at the end of the day, last week,
It all worked out.
as much as I hated the way he used timeouts, and I hated that he kicked the field goal that late. I mean, you can complain about it all you want. It's not the way I would have done it, but I mean, it got us in the right spot.
Right. He gave his chance a team to win.
I will say he does need to learn how to review the ball, review plays a little bit more. There was definitely a first down there, I think, that he missed because we rushed to punt on 4th and inches. I feel like we could have gotten the first few to look at it again. That's about it, though. I mean, game management, like I said, didn't use timeouts the way I would. I probably would have tried something different on that 3rd and long that would have set up maybe it either set up a 4th and long and you're kicking the ball from 3 yards further back, or to set up 4th and short, first down if you completed it. But I mean, at the end of the day, he still got us in the position to where all we had to do was field the punt and go down and win. So please pump the brakes a little bit. I promise you, unless we go 0-10 or 1-9, he's not getting fired. We just do not have the money this year. I think his buyout this year is down to $14 million.
Even on a normal year, it's still too much.
I was about to say-
Now in a COVID year, it's definitely too much.
Yeah, 14 million is a little much. We'd have to sell that new Gamecock statue out front to afford it.
They didn't have spurs on it, by the way, so it's
Yeah.
really not a gamecock. It's just a
It's
chicken.
It's a big old chicken. They're
Yeah.
getting spurs put on it. They said.
Well, I
But,
mean,
we'll see how many years that takes.
how
to
do you
happen.
make that without spur? That's a whole different
So
topic.
They
for
made it
another
out
day.
in California or something like that. So.
Before we get out of here, and we are running late, I do want to touch on the high school games for next week really quick. Let's start with the Lugoff Elgin, and I just totally blanked who they got next week.
We talked about it.
Yep.
Let's pull them up real quick. We'll talk about North Central while we pull that up. We know they're playing
Beaufort.
Buford. Yeah.
Yeah, Beaufort. This is a big game for North Central. Obviously, as we talked about when going over the scores, North Central gets a win over Beaufort. Man, you are sitting at the top of the region, and you have got everything going your way. Mitch Lauder told us North Central has not won an outright region title. They shared it. They've not won an outright region title since 1992. Knights, a win Friday goes a long way because you're sitting at the top with only Sherrall, I'm thinking, being the only team that has potentially the chance to knock you off. Central Page was pretty good. They played AJ tough, but you look at what North Central did to AJ, whereas AJ beat Central Page, I think it was like
18-10, maybe. It was a close game.
10-8. I think it was 10-8.
10-8. Yeah, that's
10-8.
right.
So you put 24 points up on AJ. So North Central's got a lot of good things going for them. They will be at Beaufort. Is that right?
At Beaufort.
At Beaufort Friday night. That'll be a 7:30 kick.
Yeah, that's a big weekend for North Central. Big Friday night next week. Lugoff Elgin, however, will be traveling to Richland Northeast, which is, I mean, we talk about how big it is for North Central next week against Beaufort. It's really big for Lugoff Elgin because, I mean, as much as you say you got to win the close games, you got to beat Irmo, none of that matters if you don't beat the teams you should beat. And there is no reason that Lugoff should lose to Richland Northeast. There's no reason that probably anybody on Richland Northeast schedule should lose to them. So this is huge for Lugoff to go out there and get a W. Because like I said, we can talk about making the playoffs and beating this team and getting help from this team all we want. But if you're not going to help yourself against teams like Richland Northeast, none of the rest of the stuff matters.
No, and you look at what Northeast did against Florida. They gave it 42 points in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So Lugoff has got to go over to, I guess, a game we played at Harry Perone. I do know that Arnie did play one game last year at their high school. I will make efforts to obviously double check that on Monday.
Yep.
When we get back to the office. But Lugoff, get a win. You're back to 2-1. You're back into the thick of things as far as playoff goes.
Yeah.
And you know what you got to do. Got to go beat Irmo later on in the year. So LE and RNE will be a 7 o'clock airtime with Emerson Phillips and Jeremy Murphy. You can listen to that game on Cool 102.7 and cool1027.com. Just scroll down till you see the Lugoff Elgin logo. Click on it to listen live. You can also listen on our free mobile app by going to your app store on your mobile device and searching with Cool with a K 102.7. Camden High Bulldogs coming off of a shutout win over Manning last night, 57-0. They'll have their home opener Friday night. Lake City comes to town. Lake City used to be a prideful, and I'm sure there's still got a lot of pride. They used to be historically a good football team. Sean Carson came from there, played at Carolina. He was a really fast running back.
Wow. Did not know that.
Yep, and I told this story last night on the air, and I wish Tom Donato was here because he could tell me exactly what year this was. I was in high school because I was in the marching band. I just don't remember if it was I'm going to say it was my sophomore year, but I'm not 100% on that. Camden went to Lake City, and it was a less than a touchdown game, but the field goal would have tied it. So it was like 4 or 5 points, maybe 6. Lake City was up. Camden ran a play, scored, holding, 5-yard penalty. Ran a play, scored, holding, 5-yard penalty. Then on the last play of the game, Camden scored again, holding, declined, game over. So Camden scored 3 times on one play and had holding called on them that cost them the ball game. To my knowledge, that's the last time these two teams have met. And, of course, I was wrong on Manning, so I could be wrong on this one. I wasn't here in 04 and 05. That's why I didn't remember Camden playing Manning in those 2 years.
Yeah.
But home opener. Got a lot of momentum. Got a lot of young guys playing time last night, which I think will benefit Camden down
And
the stretch.
it wasn't in crap time either. It was
No.
in the midst of the game still being close.
Right. So it's going to be fun to be back at the friendly confines of Zent Stadium and having all the pageantry that Camden does before the kickoff with the Walk of Champions and the Bulldog Walk and all that stuff. So
Yeah. It's also homecoming, so don't forget about all that pageantry.
yeah, which means it gives us more time to do our college football pick them on
That's
the
a long halftime.
Yeah, so
That was definitely homecoming's fun and all. I know the students loved it. But as a football player,
I don't know that they will be able to do the homecoming court though.
that'd be interesting to see. I know they've been voting on it this week.
With COVID-19, of course, they could space the contestants out.
They stand pretty far apart anyway.
Yeah,
So,
except for the ones
it's
that
the
are
walking together that might be the issue there.
Yeah, you might not be able to walk arm in arm like you're supposed to.
It'd be interesting to see. I know there's going to be some fights for tickets because go ahead and get them early. I promise.
Yes.
Especially if you have somebody competing for homecoming. I'm not sure if they're doing it. I'm assuming they will. Somehow they'll find a way to do it. I know Miss Fortin normally has a lot to do with that. She's very talented at making things happen. Without her, I don't know if Camden High School would function.
or Lester.
That's true. Lester, can't forget about Lester. He's a big deal there too. So yeah. Especially if you have somebody in homecoming court, if they're doing that, or you have a player in the game, go ahead and get your tickets in advance. WeAreCamdenHS.com. It's in the pool of the tab in the top right corner of the ticket page. You can go buy them. Don't want to miss that one, and you don't want to try to show up to the game or to the ticket booth on Friday night because I'm pretty sure this game will be sold out. They were almost sold out last year when we had 100% capacity. So 50% capacity, those tickets will go quick.
Yeah, get there early, folks, and remember social distance in the stands, spread out, and enjoy some good high school football. Bring your mask. I know that's a thing.
They won't let you in the stadium without a mask.
No, we started the season. We want to make sure we finish the season.
Absolutely.
So let's take all the.
We've already been delayed on it once, so we don't want any more. Can't afford any more.
Looking forward to another great night of high school football on Friday. We'll have updates throughout the night on both Lugoff Elgin and as far as Camden. Randy will be getting you updates from North Central. EP and I will be texting back and forth during each other's game, giving the other broadcast crew an update on what's going on so we can share information as well. A lot to look forward to on Friday night. Camden will be on 98.7 and 1590 AM Carolinas Country Classics, a 7 o'clock airtime. Randy and I will bring you all the action. Hoping to have Benny DeBrule along with us as well Friday night. Benny's going to do the home games with us again this year. I love talking with Benny DeBrule, former Camden High Bulldog offensive lineman. He's a cool dude, and he coaches at Camden Middle. I like to pick his brain. It's nice to have you as a receiver because you can kind of talk about the corner and receiver spot, but we don't have linemen as far as blocking schemes. And
I can't tell you much about linemen.
Right.
I was not put in that position a whole lot. Being 6 foot 150 in high school. So.
Right. So it's nice to have Benny to have a little different perspective on things and what to look for down in the trenches. So, Benny, if you're listening, looking forward to having you Friday night. I know you're going to enjoy your Tigers this afternoon. But looking forward to having you there. So we're going to get out of here because we were running late here. But Clemson, again, 5 o'clock air on Cool 102.7. Kickoff set for 8 o'clock. South Carolina's pregame show is currently on 98.7 FM, 1590 AM Carolinas Country Classics. Kickoff at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium at Steve Spurrier Field in Gainesville, Florida, set for 12 noon. Yep. You can hear all the action with Todd Ellis and
Tommy Moody?
No. Tommy Suggs.
There we go.
You had the first name right.
Yeah.
Tommy Suggs. Bring you all the action over there.
Yep.
Looking forward to another big show next week. It's nice running down these high school scores and seeing who's doing what, especially in 2020. Only 2 teams make the playoffs, guys, in these regions. So things are going to start taking shape here as we get most teams into the third week of the season. Camden will be in their second week.
Yep.
So a lot to keep track of.
Come next week, some teams will have either dreams confirmed or dreams destroyed already in just the third week. So very exciting. Once again, like we said, South Carolina's about to play here in about 2.5 hours. So say a prayer for any South Carolina fans you may have.
Yes, we need all the prayers we can get today as we take on the Florida Gators. All right, for Randy Cambites, I am Nathan Martin. Be sure to tune in next week on the South Carolina High School and College Football Report Show right here on Cool 102.7. And hey, if you want to watch us on YouTube Live, we'll do a better job of getting the link up in advance. But you can always go to YouTube up in the search bar and just type in S.C. High School and College Football Report Show.
Yeah.
Subscribe to it. That way, all you got to do is go to YouTube. Boom, it's right there for
Right on
you.
their homepage is how I shared the link today. Right, I opened up the YouTube app that was right there. I could see my face, your face. I just shared it to Facebook. So if you subscribe, you also get alerts when we go live every Saturday. Make your job a lot easier going forward. So you might as well just go ahead and subscribe.
We're going to try our best to get some high school coaches maybe next week or the week after. I'd like to have Matt Campbell maybe call in and Tyrone Drayford and Brian Riff of Camden. I have to get Perry Parks from Ridgeview. They get another win, and then Robin Bacon over at Spring Valley as well. So
really love to talk to Coach Drayford if they win next week for sure.
Oh man, yes. If they get a win over Beaver, we got to get them on the show next week.
Absolutely.
I know it's an early rise there, Coach Drayford, but
and he may not sleep if they win next week.
He might not. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Enjoy college football Saturday, and we'll see you next week right here on Cool 102.7.
24 hours a day.
Elks.